The Maitri Upanishad in simple English, presented by Svayam Prakash Sharma, part 6 of 7. In this part, we learn about the self's relation to the senses and the mind, and also that liberation is the control of one's mind and thought. The Upanishad. One asks these questions: what is the nature of these senses that go out towards their objects? Who is it who sends them out? And who is it who restrains them? Another gives this answer: they are of the nature of the self, for it is the self who is the one who sends them out, and it is the self that also restrains them. There are alluring objects of sense, and there are what are called luminous rays. The self feeds on the objects by the five rays. And who is the self? The self is he who has been defined as pure, as clean, as void, as tranquil, and as having other marks. He is to be caught by his own marks. Some say that the mark of him who is without any mark is like heat, and anything pervaded by heat, as that is to fire, or as the most agreeable taste is to water. Some say that it is speech, hearing, sight, mind, and breath. Some say that it is understanding, steadfastness, memory, and wisdom. Now all these are the marks of the self. Just as sprouts or shoots are the marks of a seed, and as smoke, light, and sparks are the marks of a fire. On this point they quote, as sparks come out of a fire, and as rays come out of the sun, so too in the same way do all living creatures and the rest come out from the self here on earth in proper order again and again. From him who is in the self come out all living creatures, all worlds, all the Vedas, all the gods, and all beings. The mystic meaning of the self is that it is the truth of the truth. Know this, that just as clouds of smoke come out separately from a fire laid with damp wood when it is lit, in the same way from this great being has been breathed out that which is the Rig Ved, the Yajur Ved, the Sam Ved, hymns of the Atharvans and Angirases, legendary stories, ancient lore, sciences, mystic doctrines, verses, aphorisms, explanations, and commentaries. From it indeed all these have come out. The Gadpatya sacrificial fire, the fire of the householder, with its 5 bricks, is the year. The bricks of the year are the seasons of spring, summer, the rainy season, autumn, and winter. It has a head, 2 wings, a back, and a tail. In the case of one who knows the person, this earth is Prajapati's first sacrificial pile. With its hands, it raises the sacrificer to the atmosphere and offers him to Vayu, the air. Air is breath. Breath is the Dakshin Agni fire. The 5 bricks for that fire are the Pran, Apan, Vyan, Saman, and Udan breaths. It has a head, 2 wings, a back, and a tail. In the case of one who knows the person, this atmosphere is Prajapati's second sacrificial pile. With its hands, it raises the sacrificer to the sky and offers him to Indra. Indra, in fact, is the sun over there in the sky. He is this third Ahavanya fire. The bricks for that fire are the Rig Ved, the Yajur Ved, hymns of the Sam Ved, Atharvans and Angirases, legendary stories, and ancient lore. It has a head, 2 wings, a back, and a tail. In the case of one who knows the person, the sky is Prajapati's third sacrificial pile. With its hands, it presents the sacrificer to the knower of the self. Then the knower of the self raises him up and offers him to Brahma. There he becomes blissful and joyful. The earth is the Gadpatya, the householder's fire. The atmosphere is the Dakshin fire. and the sky is the Ahvanya fire. Therefore, they are called the pure, the purifying, and the bright. By these fires, the sacrifice is made manifest. Since the digestive fire is the combination of the three, the pure, the purifying, and the bright, therefore, this fire should be worshipped with offerings. It is to be built with bricks. It is to be praised. It is to be meditated upon. The sacrificer, when he takes the offering, he should perform his meditation in this way. The bird of golden color abides in the heart and in the sun, as a diver bird, as a swan, and he is of surpassing radiance. Let us worship him in the fire. Having recited this, one understands the meaning of this verse. The adorable splendor of Savitri should be meditated upon by him who, abiding in his understanding, meditates on it. Here he reaches the place of tranquillity for the mind, and he places the mind in the self. On this point, there are these verses. Just as a fire without fuel becomes extinct in its own place, in the same manner, thought also becomes extinct in its own source by the stopping of activity. However, in a mind which has quieted down in its own place and which seeks the truth, there still arise false ideas due to the past acts. When he is deluded by the objects of the sense, it is one's own thoughts that is the sansar, that is the world. Therefore, a man should clean his thoughts by effort. Whatever a man thinks, that is what he becomes. This is the eternal mystery. For the serenity of one's thought, one has to destroy all actions, both good and bad. Then, dwelling within the self, with the serene self, he enjoys imperishable happiness. If the thoughts of a man get so fixed on Brahm as it is on the things of the world, then he is sure to be free of bondage. It is said that the mind is of two kinds, the pure and the impure. The mind becomes impure when it is in contact with desire, and it becomes pure when it is freed from desire. By freeing the mind from sloth and distraction and making it motionless, man becomes delivered from his mind. He reaches the state of mindlessness, and that is the supreme state. The mind should be restrained in the heart for such time till it reaches its end. That is knowledge. That is liberation. Everything else here are only extensions of the knots that bind us to this life. It is impossible to describe in words the happiness of a mind whose stains are washed away by concentration and who has entered the self. It can be grasped by the inner organ only, just as one cannot distinguish water in water, fire in fire, or ether in ether. In the same way, one cannot distinguish him whose mind has entered into the self. Such a one is released completely. It is the mind which is in truth the cause of both bondage and liberation for mankind. For bondage, the mind is bound to objects, and freedom of the mind from objects, that is called liberation. Therefore, for those who do not perform the Agnihotra sacrifice, who do not build up the fire, who are ignorant, who do not meditate, for such people, remembering the heavenly place of Brahm is obstructed. Therefore, that fire should be worshipped with offerings. It should be built with bricks. It should be praised, and it should be meditated upon. I adore Agni, the fire, who dwells in the earth, who remembers the world. Give the world to this worshipper. I adore Vayu, the wind, who dwells in the atmosphere, who remembers the world. Give the world to this worshipper. I adore Aditya, the sun, who dwells in heaven, who remembers the world. Give the world to this worshipper. I adore Brahma, who dwells in all, who remembers all. Give all to this worshipper. The face of the real is covered with a golden vessel. O Pushan, please uncover the face of that real so that we may reach the eternal real, the pervader, the person who is there in the sun over there. I myself am also the same. He and I are one and the same. Truly, that which is the sonhood of the sun, that is the eternal real, that is the bright, the personal, the one without sex. It is only a portion of the bright power that pervades the sky, as it were. It is in the middle of the sun, of the eye, and in the fire. That is Brahm, that is the immortal, that is splendor. Of the bright power that pervades the sky, it is only a portion which is the nectar in the middle of the sun, of the moon, and the living creatures too are only its offshoots. That is Brahm, that is immortal, that is splendor, that is the eternal real. Of the bright power that pervades the sky, it is only a portion that shines as the Yajurved in the middle of the sun. That is Om, that is water, that is light, that is essence, that is the immortal, that is Brahm, Bhur, Bhuva, Swar, and Om. The eight-footed, the pure, the swan, the three-stringed, the minute, the imperishable, blind to the two attributes of good and evil, kindled in the light. He who sees him, he sees all. Of the bright power that pervades the sky, it is only a portion rising in the middle of the sun. It becomes the two light rays. That is the knower. That is the eternal, the real. That is the Yajus. That is heat. That is fire. That is wind. That is breath. That is water. That is the moon. That is the bright. That is the immortal. That is the place of Brahm. That is the ocean of light. It is in this ocean of light that the worshippers dissolve. Just as a lump of salt dissolves in water. It is the oneness with Brahm, for in it all desires are contained, all desires are fulfilled. On this point, this is quoted, just as a lamp is moved by a gentle breeze, in the same way he who dwells within the gods, he too shines forth. He who knows this, he is the knower. He knows the difference, and having grasped the oneness, he becomes identified with it. They who rise forth perpetually like drops of spray from the sea, like lightning from within the clouds in the highest sky, they, by virtue of their entrance into the light of glory, appear like crests of flame in the track of fire. There are two forms of the Brahma light, one the tranquil, and the other which is plentiful. Of that which is tranquil, space is the support, while that which is plentiful, food is the support. Therefore, one should offer sacrifice in the sacrificial altar with sacred hymns, with herbs, with ghee, with sacrificial cakes, with boiled rice and the like, and also with food and drink cast into the mouth, knowing this to be the Avanya fire, for the sake of abundance of vigor, for winning the world of sanctity, and for immortality. On this point, they quote, he who desires heaven should perform the Agnihotra sacrifice. By the Agnistome sacrifice, one wins the kingdom of Yam. By the Ukta sacrifice, one wins the kingdom of the moon. By the 16-day sacrifice, one wins the kingdom of the sun. By the Atiratra sacrifice, one gains the kingdom of independence. And by the sacrifice, which continues to the end of 1,000 years, one gains the kingdom of Prajapati. And just as a lamp continues to exist because of the union of the wick, support, and oil, in the same way the self and the bright sun continue to exist because of the union of the inner one and the world egg. Just as a lamp burns so long as there is oil to be consumed, in the same way the light of Brahm remains divided as the individual soul and the sun, as long as latent brightness or previous actions in the being and in the world are not exhausted. This process will continue until all men are liberated. The two selves are the witness self and the experiencing self. The former, the witness self, is tranquil, and the latter, the experiencing self, is full of activity. Therefore, one should meditate with the syllable Om on that unlimited splendor that has been manifested threefold in the fire, in the sun, and in the breath. Now, this is the channel by which the abundance of food offered in the fire goes up to the sun. The sap which flows down from there rains down like the Udgit chant. By this, living creatures here exist, and from living creatures come offspring. On this point they quote, "The offering which has been offered in the fire goes to the sun. The sun rains down that offering with his rays. From this food arises. From food beings are produced. For so it has been said, the offering properly cast in the fire goes towards the sun. From out of the sun comes rain. From rain comes food, and from food come living beings. He who performs the Agnihotra sacrifice, he tears away the net of selfish desire. Then, having cut through confusion, he gets rid of anger. Meditating on desire, he cuts through the fourfold sheath of Brahma. From there he goes to the highest space. There, having broken through the spheres of the sun, of the moon, of fire, and of the pure being, then, being purified himself, he sees the intelligence which abides in the pure being, immovable, immortal, indestructible, enduring, bearing the name of Vishnu, the ultimate abode, endowed with the love of truth and omniscience, independent, and which stands in its own greatness. On this point they quote, "In the middle of the sun stands the moon. In the middle of the moon stands fire. In the middle of fire stands the pure being. And in the middle of the pure being stands the indestructible one." Having meditated on him who is of the measure of the thumb and who is within the span of the heart in the body, who is smaller than the small, then one goes to the supreme condition. For it is in that condition that all desires are contained, that all desires are fulfilled. On this point they quote, "Having the measure of a thumb within the span in the body, like the flame of a light burning twofold or threefold, then Brahma, the great God, who is praised, has entered all the worlds." Om, adoration to Brahma. Yes, adoration to Brahma. This concludes part 6 of 7 of the Maitri Upanishad. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om.